circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Which is the Moon. I am your Monday hostess. My name is Natalie. This is season 13 and we are in week 10. This week's topic is love spells. Do you do them or not? Now, the short answer to that question for me personally is yes. The long answer is with many, many caveats. It is important to keep in mind that there are multiple types of love. And in my personal opinion, friendship is its own type of love. So I will often do spells that cultivate friendship. Now, the Greeks believed that there were 4 types of love. You had storge, which was the love of a parent for a child. You had philia, which is the love of the child for the parent. You have eros, which is the romantic, passionate love we all think of when we think of love. And then you have the most important type of love, which is often the type of love you see among friends, sometimes also family, and that is agape. And on very rare occasions, you even see agape between strangers. So let's talk about agape, because that is the type of love that I tend to focus my love spells on. I will do erotic love spells for couples who are experiencing difficulties. I will not do a love spell to bring person A to person B if there's no existing relationship between them, because I don't believe in impeding the free will of another individual. You can do that. It does work if enough intention is put into it, but it is not always healthy. If there's likely a reason why those people have not already made a connection, especially if they have a friendship. So it is possible that, maybe it is meant to be. And if that's the case, the universe will see to that. But I will do road opening spells. If there seems to be a real connection between the two, they have a strong friendship, neither one of them has ties, but maybe one's a little gun shy from having come out of a bad relationship or something like that, I may do a road opening spell to increase those feelings of love. And I will certainly do an agape spell, which is a spell to increase overall feelings of friendly love and self-sacrificing love, which is what agape is. Agape is a giving of oneself for another or for others. So you see that often. And I think in this time of pandemic, we've seen a lot of ugliness. We've seen a lot of pent-up frustration, but I think we've also seen a lot of agape, which is a positive sign that it's still out there in the world and that those spells are doing their work. Now, agape love and love itself can be something as simple as doing an act of kindness for another. So that is why I like to put my focus on that. I do love spells almost every single day, but it's usually just to increase general feelings of love and caring for others, particularly within my household, because I need to feel a lot of love for some of the people in my household. Anyhow, I will often do that to try to promote peace within the world, because with agape comes peace. When you have that self-sacrificing love, it is going to result in love and harmony and peace. So I do a lot of that, and I tend to do those every day. Now, when I do my agape spells, I may utilize a white candle, because white is neutral, but it's also a sign of purity, and agape is the purest form of love. So I will use my love oil that I believe I gave in the last brew. I think my brew was my love oil that I use, and I use that often because I said I think friendship is a basis of love. That's true. And I think that it's also one that is the foundation for a desire to understand others, maybe not agree with them, but to understand them and be tolerant and be loving towards those ideals. So anyway, I do love spells. Now, I don't believe that it's right to impede on others. And again, as I've said, I don't do romantic or erotic love spells for people that don't already have that type of relationship or have had that type of relationship, and maybe it's just not kind of where it should be, I may do a spell to increase that erotic love between those people. So people who are already married or who are engaged or have been together for some years or anything like that. I will do road opener spells to open the road to that kind of love, and I will include erotic love sentiments in those spells. But the caveat there is that it's only if it is within the scope of the universe, if it is something that is already seated within the hearts of both of the people. Because sometimes people aren't meant to be together. So I think when you do love spells, it's important to keep that kind of thing in mind. So again, are you doing a spell to increase Storge? Are you doing a spell to increase Philia? Are you doing a spell to increase Eros? Or are you doing something for Agape? And I think it's important to keep that in mind and to keep that focus clear when you're doing a love spell. Now, for those of you that are interested in increasing the love between you and another, I will tell you that if you go on Sunshine Morning Ray's channel, which I believe is still up and active, although she hasn't added to it recently, you will find a very powerful love spell. And the funny story about that was she was utilizing the hair of her 2 dogs in that video as an example, and 6 weeks later her dog is pregnant. Just thought I'd mention that. So you want to be careful about the kinds of love spells that you do, and that's true for any type of spellcraft. I mean, you want to really think about the long range consequences. Think back to Practical Magic when she says perhaps you'll find one who's better suited, and the lady says, I don't want one that's better suited, I want him. And she said, be careful what you wish for. Just remember that. Sometimes we think we know someone very, very well, and we don't. And you learn things about that person, and you find that those little things that you thought were so cute were actually a sign of something that wasn't so cute after all, and then you're totally embroiled in it. So just be cautious when doing love spells. Make sure your intent and your focus is clear. And I don't want to say pure, but do make sure that it's honest and that you have the permission of the people involved to do the workings. Now, if you're doing a love spell to increase love between a married couple, you don't have to have the permission of both, I don't think, because they're already in that relationship. You want to increase feelings of love and understanding and compassion towards one another, and that is going to improve an already existing relationship. Okay, so that's my personal opinion. One of the simplest love spells that I've seen done is to take a red apple, slice the apple lengthwise. Inside of it, you'll see a star, right? That's why apples are so important. But there's also seeds. So when you do that, you're going to use that apple, the star of that apple. You're going to use that apple to increase, because remember, apples were one of the first fruits, right? And we're not going into the whole Adam and Eve thing, but apples are a staple for many people, right? And they grow from a small seed into a large tree. You're going to take those seeds and you're going to imbue them with your intent that you are planting the seeds of love, whether it's whatever type of love you're trying to cultivate, and it may be more than one. You could try cultivating eros as well as agape. And if you're wanting to increase philia, maybe they're wanting a child. They want the love of a child in their life. So you are doing that. You are imbuing those seeds with that thought and that love. Then you take a white candle and you anoint it with the love oil, and you will pour honey into the star, and you'll plant the candle that's been anointed, possibly even with a sigil if you wanted to make a sigil specific to that individual. I find that's very useful. Some of their hair I like to have to wrap around the candle if they have it, or if you're doing an erotic love spell, or I'm going to get to something else in a second. You can use other bodily fluids on Q-tips, and you will light that candle, and you will let that burn down, and then you will bury the apple on the property of said person, right? Now, another spell that you can do, the reverse of a love spell is to break love, to break a bond. And I don't really like doing those because I think love is important, but say, for example, that you have an individual who has someone who has great deep feelings for them and they don't have those feelings. You could either cultivate simple feelings of friendly love from the other person to that person, or you could work to disconnect the erotic love that has arisen from this person to this person that is not reciprocated. Now, I will not do that for couples that are married because, in my opinion, marriage is sacred. But I will definitely not want someone to be in a relationship that's not healthy. I think that sometimes what people forget is that erotic love tends to come and go. It goes in waves. I love you, but not all at once, right? So sometimes we don't love that person at all. We could look at ourselves in the mirror or look at that person and say, I've got no feelings for you at all, which is actually really dangerous. But often what we're feeling is anger, boredom, or something that's dissatisfactory with ourselves. So I will tell the person to work on that first. Now, if it comes to a point where that person just is not having it, they have the option of trying to break the other person's feelings so that there are no harsh feelings when the relationship is dissolved. I just really don't like doing that kind of work. You know, again, to me, marriage is sacred, and I don't necessarily believe that it needs to be lifelong. If it's unhealthy, don't stay in it. But I do think that sometimes our feelings for one another are not as strong, and we may feel that we have fallen out of love with this person when what's really underlying that is a dissatisfaction with some specific aspect of the relationship. And once that's resolved, our feelings for that individual are still there. They don't go away. It's just our body kind of sets it aside for a time. And I think that we often just are so quick to give up on a relationship that's really very good, and especially if there's children involved. But again, if it's an unhealthy, physically abusive, mentally, emotionally abusive, do not stay in that situation. It's not healthy for you or the kids. But you can still work. You know, a lot of times people get out of a relationship, but they mourn the relationship. They still want that relationship. They can work to continue to cultivate those feelings of agape love and eros and the love of friendship between the two people, so that hopefully there may be a reconciliation in future. So those are a few of the types of love workings. I'm sorry, my hair is so weird, that I have done for others and or for myself, and they're the ones that I feel the most comfortable talking about. I do encourage you to ask questions, to offer up your examples of times when you've done this kind of working, because there's a lot of you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that around this type of spellcraft, and yet it's one that we as witches are often called upon to do for others that are in a desperate situation, or they perceive themselves to be in a desperate situation. I'm sorry, I'm going to be quite frank. I got these little shots. They're 2 shots to a little mason jar of moonshine when I was in Arkansas. I have nothing to eat since day before yesterday other than a couple of carrots and a banana. And I'll tell you what, that little jar, 2 shots, I'm definitely feeling it. I'm going to go eat a pot pie in a minute. But anyway, I do believe that you need to be cautious, but I'm not saying don't do them. I'm just saying think about the consequences of your action, because you don't want to create feelings of erotic love between 2 people and a bonding between those 2 people, because it is a bond, and sometimes that bond is very hard to break when that relationship may not be what's right for either or both. So just keep that in mind when you're doing these kinds of workings or encouraging someone to do these kinds of workings for themselves. And I hope that you've gained a little bit of knowledge and information from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.